Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Office of Consumer Credit Commissioners stakeholder meeting to discuss proposed amendments to the OCCC's rule on registration with NMLS. My name is Matt Nance, and I'm the OCCC's General Counsel. I'm joined by other members of the OCCC staff, including Commissioner Leslie Pettyjohn, Director of Licensing, Finance, and Human Resources, Moran Diamond, Assistant General Counsel, Audrey Spalding, and Paralegal Nico Fisher, who's acting as our meeting organizer. We're holding this meeting through an online webinar, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. Getting input from stakeholders is a really important part of our rulemaking process, and these meetings help us make sure we can produce the best rules possible. Our webinar platform is GoToWebinar. Some of you might be listening on your phones, some may be watching on your computers, and some may be doing both. For those of you watching on your computer, there's a questions window where you can submit comments to staff. And if you have technical questions about using the webinar, you can type them in there and Nico will try to answer those questions. We're discussing a pre-comment draft of rule amendments that's available on the OCCC's webpage for recent and upcoming rules. On that webpage, you can see the draft rules by clicking the link for RMLO NMLS registration rule. If you have any comments on the rule amendments, you can go ahead and type those in at any time, and I'll be getting to those in just a few minutes. And if you're on a computer with a mic, there's a function allowing you to raise your hand, and then we can let you make a comment verbally. So I'd like to first lay out a background and summary of these draft rule amendments, and then lay out the proposed timeline, and then you'll have a chance to provide comments. So first, some background on the NMLS system. What is NMLS? It's the nationwide multi-state licensing system. NMLS is an online platform used by state agencies to license financial service providers. NMLS was established by state agencies in 2008, and all 50 states use NMLS in some form. It's the system used by all states to license individual residential mortgage loan originators, or RMLOs. It's widely used to license companies providing residential mortgage loans, and it's increasingly used to license consumer finance companies and other financial service providers as well. Under Section 14.109 of the Texas Finance Code, the legislature has authorized the OCCC to require certain license types to register with NMLS. So during calendar year 2025, the OCCC intends to begin moving license groups to NMLS from the OCCC's current licensing system, ALEX. This is a project that the OCCC identified in its most recent strategic plan, and we believe it's an important project for improving user experience and promoting efficiency, especially for companies that hold licenses in more than one state, or that may hold licenses with both the OCCC and another agency like the Department of Savings and Mortgage Lending. So the proposed rule change is fairly straightforward. We would remove a sentence in current 7 Texas Administrative Code section 2.102B stating entities licensed or applying for a license with the OCCC to make, transact, or negotiate residential mortgage loans are not required to register with NMLS. This change would support the OCCC's efforts to begin migrating license groups to NMLS. Other changes in 2.102 would make conforming changes to renumber other subsections. So that's the summary of the draft amendments. Here's a proposed timeline for the rule amendments. You can see that we're requesting informal pre-comments by tomorrow, November 22nd. We intend to propose the amendments at the Finance Commission's December 13th meeting. There would be an official comment period during the month of January 2025. We'd present the rule for adoption at the Finance Commission's February meeting, and the rule would be effective in March. During calendar year 2025, we anticipate that the OCCC would begin migrating license groups to NMLS. This is, of course, a tentative timeline, and as far as the timeline for the rules, it is subject to the Finance Commission's approval. So with that, I've summarized the rule action, and I will open things up to comments on the rule amendments. Again, there are two ways to provide your feedback through this webinar. First, you can type your comment out and send it to us through the webinar's question feature, or if you're on a computer with a mic, there should be a function allowing you to raise your hand. Also, if you have a longer written question, you can feel free to type a quick message into the question field explaining that you have a longer message, and we can give you some time to type out that longer message. So, Nico, do we have any written questions or comments through the webinar?
There are no hand raises or questions at this time, Matt.
Okay, thank you. Do want to make sure everyone's got time if there are any questions through the webinar. So I'm still not seeing any. I do want to wait for at least 1 minute. Again, if you have a longer written question, or if you're trying to raise your hand and we're not seeing it, please feel free to type in a quick message through the questions window. But I will wait for 1 minute starting now just to see if we get anyone. Okay, I'm still not seeing anyone. So again, if you have any quick remarks, this is an opportunity to provide those, but I don't see anyone. So, oh, okay. We do have a question from Richard Arizola. Okay, so the question is, I didn't understand the clause about not having to register if you transact mortgage loans. So again, this was a statement that's currently in our rules. It's talking about entities that have a license with the OCCC to make, transact, or negotiate residential mortgage loans. Individuals, I think the rule distinguishes between individuals and entities. So individuals have been required to register with NMLS for several years, but we have this provision that currently says entities that have a separate license, such as a regulated lender license through ALEX, don't have to register with NMLS. So that's what that's currently referring to. We have an upcoming project to try to migrate those companies to NMLS. Doesn't really change the fact that individual RMLOs will continue to need to be licensed in NMLS. Hopefully that answered the question. If I can elaborate on that for Mr. Arizola, please let me know. I'll give him some time if he needs me to elaborate on that. Okay, not seeing a further question on that, but appreciate the feedback on it. Okay. It as I don't see any other questions, I do want to thank everyone who joined us, and thank you for joining us and participating. We do continue to have rule updates on our website, and we'll be posting the audio of the, oh, we have a question from Andre Cardenas. So I will wait for that question. The question is, so the company will now have to maintain and hold an NMLS license to keep the OCCC license. That could be one way to think of it. I would probably rephrase it as, in the future, your company license with the OCCC will be handled through NMLS. So NMLS is an online platform that you, in the future, will be able to use to renew and update an OCCC regulated lender or property tax lender license. So we would be moving from the current online licensing system, Alex, used to renew and maintain licenses, and that activity would now happen through NMLS. Wait just a little bit to see if there are any other follow-up questions. So again, rule updates will continue to be.
Sorry, oh. I have a follow-up question from Mr. Arizola.
Oh, okay. There is a question about fees. We anticipate that there could be some fees for the initial setup in the system. So the fees are listed on the NMLS website. And NMLS has plenty of materials and some materials about fees. So we don't anticipate it's a substantial fee for businesses, but there might be fees depending on how the business is being set up in NMLS. Okay, I'll wait one more minute just to see if any additional questions come in. Okay, we have a question from Andre Cardenas. Okay, so the question is, so if the company cannot hold or maintain their NMLS license, what happens to those LOs that work for that now unlicensed company? Is it fair to say those LOs cannot originate for that company? Okay, so if a company doesn't continue to maintain its license, that company would be engaged in unlicensed activity. So unlicensed activity could be a violation of the Texas Finance Code. That answered that particular question. Okay. No further questions for Mr. Cardenas. Okay. Wait just a little bit longer. Make sure we've addressed any follow-up questions. So as I said, we will continue to have rule updates on our website for recent and upcoming rules, and we'll be posting the audio of this meeting. We will be accepting written pre-comments on these rules until 5 p.m. tomorrow, November 22nd. Please email those to me at rule.comments@occc.texas.gov, which is our email address for rule comments. I want to thank everyone for attending. Please be safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.